Greetings, devoted star watchers and keepers of whispered truths. Welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, the corner of the internet where glitter fades and feelings speak, where the glossy veneer of fame is gently lifted to reveal the heartbeat underneath. Tonight we retrace a story that began as a shy murmur beneath a shower of confetti on New Year's Eve and has since surged into a chorus so loud it rattles every timeline and comment thread. It is a story of closeness and quiet, of eyes that said more than statements ever could, and of a promise some insist was hidden behind a smile. Before we waltz into the shimmering ballroom of this tale, take a moment and make sure you're part of our little constellation. If you haven't subscribed to Turkish Spotlight Secrets yet, this is the moment. Tap that button, join our growing family, and if you want to stand with independent storytelling, the join option is there to welcome you. Your membership keeps this light burning and gives you the badge of a true insider. Like this video if you feel the pulse of the mystery, and leave a comment below. Your voice is the heartbeat of our channel and always will be. Now, let us return to that fateful night when the old year sighed and the new year drew breath. In the gilded circles where celebration is a performance and privacy is a fragile luxury, New Year's Eve is the main stage. Velvet rooms, masked laughter, glasses that catch the light like distant stars, this is where so many resolutions are made and, yes, where rumors are born. That night, however, the spark that sent shockwaves through the gossip universe wasn't a burst of fireworks or a grand toast. It was a hushed, almost hidden exchange between Cemre and Gökberk Yildirim at a secluded, invitation-only affair, the kind designed to keep cameras far and secrets safe. Or so everyone believed. As the music softened from triumphant to tender and the frantic countdown energy gave way to something slower, the temperature of the room seemed to change. Those seated near the inner circle whisper that Cemre moved closer to Gökberk, her words tucked behind a smile, her voice low enough to be drowned by crystal clinks and the gentle hum of a jazz melody. This wasn't the kind of declaration meant for a microphone or a speech. It was the kind of confession that lives between two people. The kind that lifts and anchors in the same breath. And Gökberk's reaction, according to those who dared to look, was immediate, unguarded, and deeply felt. Witnesses claim that his face transformed in an instant, a flash of astonishment followed by an unmistakable swell of emotion that softened his features, then the kind of embrace that isn't for show, the kind that shields. It was brief, tender, and it left a trace in the air. Enough to freeze a few hearts and make a few hands reach for their phones, even if they thought better of it. After that moment, a bubble seemed to form around them. They kept close, heads tilted toward each other, present and distant at once, while the party continued at a polite remove. Observers insist that Cemre's radiance grew brighter as the night went on, nervous, lively, full of a joy that felt fragile and precious. If that was the spark, social media was the wind that pulled it into a blaze by morning. Photos that leaked from inside the event, grainy, poorly framed, yet impossibly telling, showed Cemre in a flowing, loose silhouette of a dress, light and soft, a choice that instantly became Exhibit A in the court of public opinion. In a world where every seam and hemline is treated like a message, the dress became a statement people read differently. Some saw simple elegance. Others claimed it was a careful cover for the most classic secret of all. And so the rumor took shape. One shared confidences insist they overheard only to later admit they never did. It grew into a theory repeated with breathless certainty, that Cemre had quietly told Gökberk she was expecting, and that the dress wasn't merely fashion, but a gentle curtain over a new beginning. You can imagine what happened next. As speculation circled without pause, both Cemre and Gökberk chose silence. No clarification. No denial. No confirmation. Just a careful, almost ceremonial quiet that made everything louder. Friends of friends claimed the moment had been misunderstood, that the whisper had been about work, the sort of career turn that makes your hands shake, not for fear, but because dreams are scary when they are real. Others swore the news was personal and beautiful, not glossy but grounded. And so the comments divided, as they always do. One camp called it irresponsible gossip and begged for privacy. Another group, attuned to the couple's history of passionate unpredictability, argued that a surprise is just the kind of twist that life likes to write for two people like them. As the arguments burned, every detail became a clue. Cemre's recent insistence in an interview that she would draw a firm line around her private life, words that at the time felt like discipline, took on a new sheen. Had she been preparing a boundary for something bigger? At the same time, Gökberk's feet went still. The actor, who can move between playful and reflective with the flick of a caption, suddenly allowed the noise to pass around him instead of through him. And this raised the question that would not die: if there is nothing to hide, why vanish? Or, if there is something to protect, why engage at all? While everyone waited for a statement that never arrived, the stillness inside the couple's orbit grew meaningful. Those close to Cemre say that in the first days of the new year she quietly stepped back from events that would have otherwise drawn her like a magnet. Invitations were declined. Meetings became phone calls. She reserved her energy for the bare essentials, the set of her series, Kuma, where responsibility doesn't pause for rumors. People murmur that such a retreat must be strategic, a way of keeping a tender possibility safe. Others argue that she is simply sheltering her peace, not because there's a secret, but because the storm is loud and exhausting. Meanwhile, those who know Gökberk add that he, too, has kept counsel only with his closest circle, eyes steady, hands firm, the kind of silence that looks like steel from far away but may be gentleness up close. Commentators spar about what this means. Is the quiet a clever publicity tactic designed to let speculation tire itself out? Or is it the stillness that comes when decisions are being made carefully? Some suggest that the rumored news would collide with one of the busiest arcs of Cemre's professional life and that this is not a moment for easy answers or quick statements. Which brings us to the workplace, where reality always insists on showing up. Inside the bustling rhythm of Kuma, whispers have a way of slipping through call sheets and wardrobe doors. There are those who say the crew and co-stars, initially tolerant of the noise beyond the studio walls, are beginning to feel the weight of association. Every new segment of chatter tugs at the set's focus, trying to turn the craft into a subplot. And yet, those same voices admit that Cemre has let none of this bleed into her performance. They say she arrives prepared, disciplined, present, that her gaze sharpens when the camera turns red, that there is no tremor in her professionalism. Fans argue this is what strength looks like in action. Skeptics counter that the very poise she shows is proof she is hiding in plain sight, guarding something she will not name. Another twist came quietly, almost like the hush before a stage door opens. Reports suggest that family calls and visits have increased since that New Year's night. Some optimists in the fan community read this as a beautiful sign, the gathering of families around a new chapter. Others say it is everyday life dressed up as evidence, or perhaps a coordinated response to a scandal that isn't a scandal at all, but a story that social media invented and now refuses to let go. In the space where Hollywood mischief meets real human hearts, there is always a point where speculation stops feeling fun and starts feeling costly. This saga has found that edge. And yet, the magnetism of the unknown holds everyone a little too close. For every plea to leave them be, there is a counter that insists public love stories exist in public, and that the price of attention is never paid in the currency you choose. Dear listeners, I turn to you. Are clothing choices ever fair evidence? Is a loose dress a clue, or an unfair lens that women are forced to peer through while the world insists on seeing what it wants? Are we reading tea leaves in an empty cup, or are we stumbling forward because we sense something real? Tell us, with kindness, what you think below. And if our tempered approach resonates, tap that super thanks or join the channel to help keep this space thoughtful and independent. Your support matters here more than you know. As the days pass, the split in the fandom widens but never breaks. One side clings to the certainty that the rumor is baseless, urging the world to stop projecting stories onto two people who never asked for an audience to write their script. The other side, loyal and imaginative, says that if any couple is capable of turning the new year into a new era without a press release, it is Cemre and Gökberk. Their chemistry has always been a live wire, warm, sometimes wild, often unexpected. And perhaps this whisper is simply life insisting they step through a door they've already opened a crack. Still, there is a heavier problem here: timing. Cemre stands at a summit in her career, the narrative of the rumor interacts with that peak in complicated ways. It nudges conversations about what a woman owes to her art, her audience, and herself. It coaxes opinions from corners that should perhaps remain quiet. And through it all, the only story that truly matters is the one she and Gökberk are writing quietly, whether it is for themselves alone or for a future they plan to share out loud when it is right. As the rumor grows, the restraint of the couple's closest allies speaks volumes. Even those typically generous with cheerful hints and harmless anecdotes have chosen a careful vocabulary. We are happy, we are focused, we are here. It is not denial. It is not admission. It is, perhaps, the only honest response when the world demands a label for a feeling that does not want one yet. And so we wait. We count days by the stillness of Gökberk's feed and the steadiness of Cemre's call times, by the absence of a ring light's reflection on their eyes, by the lack of the telltale Notes app screenshot that pairs a white background with a black promise. We read the silence like a poem, desperate to decide whether it is about resolve or reverence. The echoes keep returning, that embrace, that dress, that look. But the truth remains out of reach, soft and stubborn. Here's what we do know. Pressure is a spotlight all its own, and celebrity couples, however practiced at walking through it, still feel the heat. Cemre and Gökberk have weathered squalls before. They have learned to bend without breaking, to step back without stepping away. Perhaps this moment is another test, perhaps it is a threshold, perhaps both. Until their voices enter the room, we will only have the hum of speculation and the promise that time has a way of sorting the true from the tantalizing. Thank you for walking with us through every turn of this story. We will keep our eyes open and our ears attuned, honoring the line between curiosity and intrusion and giving you the clarity you expect from us when clarity finally arrives. You've been watching Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If this deep dive gripped you, subscribe, like, and share so this community grows stronger and kinder. And if your heart is fully with us, the join button is always waiting. Until the truth steps forward in its own words, keep your gaze gentle, your mind open, and your comments compassionate. Good night from Turkish Spotlight Secrets, where the stars are bright, but the stories are human, and where we always listen for the truth that speaks softly first.